She tells him, ooh, love, no one's ever gonna hurt you, love. I'm gonna give you all of my love. Nobody matters like you.
Hey guys, Mosa here, and today I'm bringing you my Week 8 NFL Power Rankings. Now, without a further ado, let's get started. Now, let's kick it off with the Detroit Lions at 0-7 and came off a loss to the Los Angeles Rams and will take on the Eagles. Honestly, the Detroit Lions have not been doing good at all for the past few years. And the only thing that made them good was actually Matthew Stafford. Now that he's gone, it's clear that Detroit needs to rebuild that offense and defense, as even though their offense keeps them at least giving sometimes the lead, their defense is just too weak. I mean, Jared Goff is an alright quarterback, but the defense is not helping him at all. And honestly, I expect this Detroit Lions team to possibly, for the first time ever, go 0-17. Now, on to the New York Jets at 1-5. Just came off a devastating loss to the New England Patriots and now go up against the Cincinnati Bengals. I think the Jets, honestly, them losing Zach Wilson, this is going to torture the Jets even more than just having losing seasons. Honestly, there's a losing season almost every single year for the Jets. But at least Zach Wilson was hope for the future. Now that he's injured, it's going to be a little bit hard. And the New York Jets fans are really going to have nightmares, as this team will not be winning any games without Zach Wilson. Now, on to the Houston Texans, who are at 1-6 and just came off a loss to the Arizona Cardinals and will go up against the Los Angeles Rams. Now, as I stated, Tyrod Taylor, even if he comes back, I think that this is a loss. Honestly, this team is just too bad. It's just too horrible. They should start getting rid of players that are worth, and honestly, they need to start getting draft picks. They need to start rebuilding this team, whether it's free agency or via the draft. I don't care how they do it, but they have to do it, because there's no way of them even making the playoffs as the 7th seed in this year, because this year it's just going to be a tanking year for the Houston Texans, and we're going to probably see that in 2022 as well. Now, on to the Jacksonville Jaguars at 1-5, just came off a bye, and will take on the Seattle Seahawks. Now, this team, there might be a chance that they get rid of Andrew Norwell, one of their guards. And honestly, I'm just going to say this year is just not going to be good for the Jaguars. Just like the Houston Texans, just like the New York Jets and Detroit Lions, this team is honestly just not that good at all. Even though they got a star quarterback that could be a potential Peyton Manning type quarterback, honestly, even possibly Tom Brady if put in the right situation. And honestly, I think that Trevor Lawrence is going to be screwed for the first few years of his career with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, on to the New York Giants at 2-5, came off a win over the Panthers and will take on the Chiefs. Now, this team ain't going to beat the Chiefs. This team is rattled with injuries, and honestly, I don't think they have enough to beat the Chiefs. I know the Chiefs aren't doing well either, but they're not doing as bad as the New York Giants. And honestly, if it wasn't for that division of the New York Giants, they would never have a chance for the playoffs. But they do. Although this year, it's really going to be more difficult as the Dallas Cowboys improve and improve and improve their record, as I believe they only got 1 to 2 losses. I believe they only got 1 loss, and they even had a bye. But the fact is, the New York Giants and all those teams in the NFC East are just not going to be that good. And honestly, I think that they're going to fight for that division title, which is the only way any team in that division will make the playoffs. Honestly, the Giants won't be it. Now, on to the Miami Dolphins, coming off a loss to the Atlanta Falcons and going up against the Buffalo Bills. Now, I'm just saying this. even with Tua Tagovailoa back, this team is just not what it used to be back in 2020. And honestly, maybe there's something to hope for in 2022. But this is the thing. Tua, is he going to get replaced by Deshaun Watson? Is Deshaun Watson going to Miami? And honestly, if he does, you got to say sayonara to Tua Tagovailoa as the star quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. Because there's no way they would trade for Deshaun Watson and not place him as the starter. Now, on to the Washington football team at 2-5 and just came off a loss to the Packers. Now, they're going up against the Broncos. And this is a possible win for Washington. Honestly, I think Taylor Heinicke has been doing well. Ryan Fitzpatrick, even if he plays or not, I think this could still be a Washington win. That Washington offense, Antoine Gibson, and even Terry McLaurin, honestly has done very well for this franchise. And honestly, they will not beat the Dallas Cowboys for the division. But they're the most likely candidates to do so. Although I don't expect it, you can't deny the possibility. Now, on to the Chicago Bears at 3-4. Just came off a loss to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers and will take on the 49ers. Now, this could be a surprise game for the Chicago Bears. There is a chance they might win this game and upset the 49ers. But this is the thing. Is Fields the guy? I think he could be. But in the future is when they're going to get Super Bowl appearances. Because right now, this team of the Chicago Bears is not even going to come close to a Super Bowl anytime soon. Now, on to the Indianapolis Colts at 3-4. Just came off a win on Sunday Night Football to the San Francisco 49ers and will take on the division rival Tennessee Titans. Now, honestly, the Colts have not been doing that well, but they've been doing better than expected with Carson Wentz, even though Carson Wentz hasn't been doing that well at the start of the season. But honestly, I think that there is a turning point. And if they continue to have success, I think that this team might have a chance at a wild card spot in the playoffs. Because honestly, I think that this team could honestly make the playoffs with Carson Wentz, but not go any further than the wild card round. Now, on to the Philadelphia Eagles at 2-5. Just came off a loss to the Raiders and will honestly go up against the Detroit Lions. And honestly, this is going to be a devastating win for the Eagles, as I think that even though they got Miles Sanders out, and I've said that without Miles Sanders, this team is horrible. And honestly, it is. But the Detroit Lions are usually teams that really choke at the end, just to say. Because I think that this game will be given to the Philadelphia Eagles rather than won by the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, on to the Atlanta Falcons at 3-3, coming off a win over the Dolphins and going up against the Panthers. I think that this is going to be an interesting game to watch. They're 3-3. They're trying to get for that wild card spot, and honestly, it's in their grasp. If San Francisco and Seattle keep doing what they're doing, this team and Carolina might have a chance for the playoffs. But that's a slim chance. As we all know, in the NFC North, there are some teams that could as well challenge for that playoff spot. But for right now, I think that this is going to be an interesting game to watch, although the Falcons could choke it at any time. Now, on to the New England Patriots at 3-4, beating the Jets in a landslide, will go up against the Los Angeles Chargers. And honestly, Mac Jones has been doing pretty well. And honestly, the defense didn't do that bad without Stephon Gilmore, who they had traded to the Carolina Panthers. But this is the thing. Is this team going to make it against Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, and all those other guys on that offense? And honestly, I think that this defense would have trouble with the Chargers offense. But it's the Chargers defense we have to look at. Is Mac Jones going to be able to destroy that defense? Is the running backs going to do something against this defense? And that is the real reason whether the Chargers or Patriots win. Whoever wins there wins the game. Now, on to the Carolina Panthers at 3-4. Now, they go up against the New York Giants, and honestly, this could be a win. This could be a win for the Panthers over the Falcons. And honestly, is Sam Darnold the guy? Maybe not. PJ Walker, is he the guy? Maybe, maybe not. He did well in the XFL, but will he do well as the Panthers starting quarterback? And that's if he's given the starting role. And honestly, I think that the Carolina Panthers have a good offense, at least when it comes to knowing that you have some good receivers. But without Christian McCaffrey, this team is doomed. Now, on to the Denver Broncos at 3-4. And honestly, they will go up against the Washington football team after their loss to the Browns. And honestly, Denver will have trouble with that Washington defense. I think that even if it's Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock, doesn't matter who's the starter, I think that Denver, no matter what, will have trouble. And honestly, Bradley Chubb not being a part of that defense is also hurting the Denver Broncos. Von Miller is not enough, and honestly, I think that the Denver Broncos, even though they had a good start, they actually did it against horrible teams. Now, on to the Seattle Seahawks, who are 2-5, and just came off a loss to the Saints on Monday Night Football, and will take on the Jags. If we lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars, I am calling Seattle season over. Not because they lost to the Jaguars. Of course, that's one reason. The other is are we going to have Russell Wilson back soon or not? Because that is the only reason why Seattle will make the playoffs or even have a winning record. I honestly think that Russell Wilson will come back pretty soon. Maybe they won't have a losing record for the first time since 2011. But is it out of the realm of possibility? I don't think so. But it's also not out of the realm of possibility that the Seattle Seahawks could make the playoffs, as I believe every NFC West team has a chance. Even those with losing records like Seattle and San Francisco. But to be honest, this is going to be tough for Seattle. Now, on to the 49ers, and they are at 2-4, coming off a loss to the Colts, and they will take on the Bears. As I stated, this will be a possible upset for the 49ers, as the Bears might have a chance at winning this game. And to be honest, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Losing their top running back in Raheem Mostert hurt them heavily. Losing Jimmy Garoppolo for a few games heavily, honestly, made the San Francisco 49ers a terrible team. Not because Trey Lance was the quarterback, of course, he did well as well, but because the team fell apart after Garoppolo got injured. It really is a team game, because honestly, you don't win with one quarterback. You win with everyone on the team. All 53 men on that squad is the reason why the 49ers are losing. And honestly, if it continues this way, they will possibly be in 4th place rather than Seattle for this division. Now, on to the Minnesota Vikings at 3-3, came off a bye and will take on the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. I think that this will be a game to watch. This game will be very interesting for 2 reasons. Number 1, are the Vikings going to start getting a winning record in this year? And is the Cowboys going to be the team to win the NFC East? Honestly, I think that both scenarios are interesting, but it must most likely be that the Cowboys just continue their winning streak. As their only loss, I believe they only have one loss, was to the Buccaneers in week 1. And honestly, that was against a good team, and they haven't been facing too bad of the teams either. But you also got to say this. Is Minnesota better than Dallas? Maybe. But is Dallas worse than the Vikings? No. But why do I say that? Doesn't that contradict what I say? Honestly, yes. But honestly, in a way, no. Because you can have a good team if you have all the pieces. Even if some of the pieces have to be replaced of a team, you can still have the same outcome. But we saw that last year, that outcome was horrible for the Cowboys. And if they lose someone like Zeke or even Dak again, this will be horrible for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are also 3-3 and coming off a bye. They will take on the Browns. And I think the Browns will give them a run for their money. And honestly, this team will be getting their chances. And if Pittsburgh starts having some good receivers, if they start having a good run game, even though they got a good running back in Najee Harris, I think that even if all that happens, if their defense is able to stop the opposing offense, that is all the Pittsburgh Steelers need to win this game. Although, are you going to trust that offense to win you the game? Now on to the Cincinnati Bengals at 5-2. And honestly, they're the best team in the AFC North. They are technically number 1 ahead of the Baltimore Ravens after they beat the Baltimore Ravens in a landslide. They will take on the Jets, so they'll continue their winning streak. But honestly, the Cincinnati Bengals, I also think that they are actually the number 1 team in their conference too. I think they might be the number 1 seed, them and Arizona. But to be honest, is this going to be a good season for Cincinnati? I think it could be. But we'll all just have to wait and see. Now on to the 4-3 Cleveland Browns, who took down the Denver Broncos and might take down the Pittsburgh Steelers. Honestly, Baker Mayfield has been doing alright, but without Baker Mayfield, they did alright as well with Case Keenum. And Jarvis Landry doing as amazing as always. Nick Chubb out, Kareem Hunt, and all those other guys are trying to do their best to actually beat teams, and they did. And honestly, I think that this team will do better without OBJ. And honestly, that is one of the main reasons why they lost so many games, because they wanted to throw it to OBJ almost all the time. Like 80% of the shots were probably to OBJ. But once you start spreading the ball to other receivers, that is what will give you the win. Not that you guys have honestly one certain amount of yards, touchdowns, whatever. What will win you games is working as a team, not just scoring. Of course, scoring is one of the reasons why you win, but in order to do so, you need to work as a team. And just throwing it to one receiver isn't working as a team. It's working as a unit of just 2 people. And honestly, I think Cleveland knew that, and I think this is why he'll most likely be traded pretty soon. Now, on to the Kansas City Chiefs at 3-4. Got bullied by the Tennessee Titans and will take on the New York Giants on Monday Night Football. Now, I think that this is going to be an interesting game to watch. Is this going to be the game where we see the New York Giants defeat Patrick Mahomes? Maybe. But honestly, is it out of the realm of possibility that Patrick Mahomes loses this game against the Giants? No, of course, there is always a chance. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think that New York Giants wide receiving core and honestly, everything about the Giants is just not good. I mean, even though they lost heavily to Tennessee, honestly, I think that they still have a big chance at becoming one of the best offenses of this league. Although, with the worst defense of this league. Even though, that could also be debatable. Now, on to the New Orleans Saints at 4-2. Just took down my Seattle Seahawks. And will go up against the Buccaneers. Now, Jameis Winston had it easy against the Seattle defense. But are they going to have it easy against the Bucs defense? No, they're not. Even though they're there neck and neck for that division title, I think that there's still a chance that the New Orleans Saints loses this game, as honestly, I think that it'll most likely be due to their defense that they lose. But it's Tom Brady. There's a possibility that anything could happen in a game against Tom Brady. Now, on to the Las Vegas Raiders. And at 5-2, going up against the Eagles and winning. Now they're on their bye. And honestly, they've been doing well since the technically firing, or better yet, the technically resignation of John Gruden. I know John Gruden resigned, but even if he hadn't, he wasn't going to be the Raiders head coach. He would have been fired on the spot if he had not resigned. He'd rather resign in disgrace than be fired as a fool. And honestly, it was better for him that he resigned. And it looks like it was better for the Raiders organization. Now, on to the Baltimore Ravens at 5-2, losing to the Cincinnati Bengals and losing that division lead. Honestly, they are on their bye as well. They are on the bye with the Raiders. I think that Lamar Jackson has some things to work out. Even though he's one of the best quarterbacks in this league, how do you not score infinity points against the Cincinnati Bengals? And honestly, the Bengals just shot down that Ravens D. And that is a heavy thing to think about going into the bye. And honestly, they're going to have to improve that defense for week 9. Now, on to the Dallas Cowboys at 5-1, coming off a bye, going up against the Vikings. And as I said with the Vikings, this team, if they lose any of their players, whether it be their running back Elliott, whether it be CeeDee Lamb, whether it be Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, or even Dak Prescott, the Cowboy season would be over. There's only one reason why they're honestly a winning franchise, because their players are healthy. And that's what you need, especially if you're a Dallas Cowboy, because honestly it looks like you get hurt and the Dallas Cowboys are bad. That is basically what happens almost every single year for the Cowboys when they're either the starting quarterback or some guys that help the offense. Honestly, it just gets injured and everything goes to the worst possible scenario. Now, on to the Los Angeles Chargers, and coming off a bye themselves, going up against the Patriots. Honestly, the Patriots beat a horrible Jets team. There's no way they're beating the Chargers. Although, it's not out of the realm of possibility that there's an upset, but I think that there is a chance that Justin Herbert takes down the New England Patriots, and that is a big chance. Honestly, Bill Belichick, I think you're a great coach. But you were not the guy who led those Patriots teams to Super Bowl victories. That was Tom Brady. And until you get your team back to the playoffs and back to the Super Bowl, and maybe even back to the Super Bowl against Brady, that would be what really tells me who actually was the guy leading the Patriots. Although Tom Brady's winning right now. Now, on to the 5-2 Tennessee Titans, coming off a ginormous win over the Chiefs, and will take on the Colts. This team is making the playoffs. And if the Titans fall heavily against the Indianapolis Colts, then that would be horrific for the Tennessee Titans. Not because they lost heavily, because they lost to the Colts. And whether they win or lose to the Colts, by how many points you want, having that win over you is something that the Titans cannot have. And honestly, it's a thing that will not happen, because I think that the Titans will take down the Colts. Now let's kick off the top 5 with the Los Angeles Rams at 6-1. And honestly, being the third best team in the NFC, going on and beating the Detroit Lions, even though it was a close game, honestly, the Texans, oh my god, if they don't beat the Texans in a landslide, then the Rams will be demoted in the power rankings. I don't care if they win. If they win by a short margin, then I will lower them. I won't allow this team to go higher in the ranks, because they are not better than Arizona right now. And honestly, if they lose to the Texans, who the Arizona Cardinals slapped down, honestly, this would be a heavy win for the Arizona Cardinals. Now at number 4, we got the Arizona Cardinals at 7-0, the only team undefeated. And why do I have the only team undefeated at number 4? Well, they beat the Texans. Like, they're not going to be higher than the Bills, Packers, or Bucks by beating the Texans. There's no way. But their game against the Packers on Thursday Night Football will be interesting to watch. And maybe it's Arizona's first loss. Now, on to number 3. And the top 3 starts with the Green Bay Packers at 6-1 versus the Washington Football Team. They won. And now they take on the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. This might be a game where Arizona continues their winning streak. But I beg to differ. I think that the Green Bay Packers are the team to finally give Arizona their first loss of the year, and the Arizona Cardinals will start out 7-1 this season, because I think that this team, even though the Cardinals are good, the Packers are better. At number 2, we got the Buffalo Bills at 4-2, coming off a bye and going up against the Dolphins. In order to even honestly be tied, in my opinion, to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they got to destroy the Dolphins. And that's saying something, because they already beat them in a landslide before this season. But is it going to be enough? I think maybe not. But there's also a grand possibility that the Buffalo Bills will win this game and the Buccaneers lose theirs. And honestly, that might push them to be number 1 again. Now, on to the number 1 team in the National Football League, in my opinion, and that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 6-1. Their devastating win over the Bears. They go up against the Saints. They go up against the New Orleans Saints, who beat the Seattle Seahawks on Monday Night Football. I think that this game will definitely go in Tom Brady's favor. But honestly, I'm worried. I'm worried that the Buccaneers lose to the Saints. And that's because there's a possible chance that happens. But for right now, I think that it's best for all who see this to honestly believe that the Buccaneers would win this game. But, as I stated, it could be possible they lose this game against the Saints, and the Saints move up to be the top in the division. Now, that was it for this video. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Who should be higher? Who should be lower? And what is your top 5 NFL power rankings? Tell me down in the comments below. Now, like this video if you liked it. Subscribe and hit the notification if you want more videos. And I'll see you guys next time.